Good morning, everybody. I wanted to do a thought of the day about judgment. And you see, I have this friend, Mira, and Mira happens to be one of the smartest, most situationally aware person I know. She has some pretty in-depth observations, and a good person to talk to. I was having a conversation with her one time, and I don't think I'll ever forget this, but I was telling her of a story about me when I was a young, I don't know, probably 10, 8, 9, 10 years old, something like that. A day that I haven't forgotten, actually, that I've lived with. You see, I was a bit autistic, I think, and I had one of those learning disabilities, and I had a tutor, and I grew up in Virginia Beach. And I don't know if you know this, but the Navy SEALs, which back then nobody really knew about, were based in Virginia Beach, and I was probably a couple miles away from the base where they were all stationed. So a lot of the people I grew up with and around were either Navy SEALs or the kids of Navy SEALs or the wives of Navy SEALs. They all had an impact in my life. But anyway, my tutor that I would go to, I think once a week, was the wife of a Navy SEAL. And he had a kind of a wall of memorial stuff that he had gotten. This is right after Vietnam, of course. Just memorabilia and stuff from friends and teammates and whatnot. And it was really fascinating to me. And I mean, he had like a belt of one of his friends that died in a parachuting accident, and like a braided belt kind of a thing. So, and then just a bunch of stuff like that. I thought it was really cool. And back in the day, we would say things like, "Oh, that's some really cool junk you got there," and that was kind of slang for like stuff, I guess. And so that's what I said to him. I go, "This is some really cool junk you got here," and he got really offended. I never went back to that house again. Here I am, like an 8, 9-year-old kid, and so I held on to that guilt for years. I mean, I was in my early 50s probably before I was telling Mira this story, and Mira looked at me and laughed. And it's like, what's so funny? And she goes, well, the reason he probably got so mad is because his wife, that's the way she felt about that stuff. And you just kind of brought it up. And he wasn't necessarily angry at you, but he was probably angry at her because he knew that's the way she felt about the stuff in that room. And when I heard that, I realized how true it really was. So yeah, I mean, I live with that guilt. I judged myself, took responsibility for his feelings. And in fact, probably it wasn't some dumb 8, 9-year-old kid that offended him so much. It was probably just the reality of the way his wife, and he knew how she felt about that stuff. So anyway, I don't know if this is going to take any, or if any of you all can relate to any kind of a similar situation, but I guess the lowdown about the whole situation is that things are not always as they seem. There's possibly an angle that you're not thinking of if you're judging yourself. So anyway, that's my thought of the day. I hope it helps out and keeps you coming back for more. Have a good one.